Welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. And as you could probably tell by this screen, I'm going to be talking about the iPad Pro, which is kind of funny because the iPad Pro, at least the original 12.9 inch, just came out a few months ago. And so if you bought it, you might have a little buyer's remorse since the new one, the 9.7 inch, is now released, and it looks like it's going to be a better fit, no pun intended, for more people. Now, I did a few earlier episodes on the iPad Pro. I did one on the iPad Pro and the Samsung Galaxy View before they were released, when they were announced, kind of like asking the question, who is it really for? Okay. And then after that, whenever they were released and they were in the store, I actually went and looked at both the iPad Pro and the Samsung Galaxy View and asked the same exact question. Who were they actually for? And in both cases, I really didn't know who they were for, because unless you really love Apple or Samsung products or had a lot of money, I didn't really see a practical use for either of them. So, especially the Samsung Galaxy View, I see no use for that one at all. However, in Apple's latest keynote, they released two new products, one being this iPad Pro 9.7 inch and the iPhone SE. So, what are my thoughts on the iPad Pro 9.7? Now, without actually having it physically in my hand, I can't really tell you 100%, but Apple's products are fairly the same. They don't change their design language too much, and having played with the iPads before and the iPad Pro 12.9 inch, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be very similar. So with that being said, what is the primary benefit or difference with the 12.9 inch Pro versus the 9.7 inch Pro? Well, in a nutshell, what you're really getting, in my opinion, is what the original iPad 12.9 inch Pro should have been. I can't really see a use for the 12.9 inch, but for the 9.7 inch, I think that is going to be more usable and accessible to a lot of people than they would the 12.9 inch. Now, if you're wondering what the primary difference is between the 9.7 inch and the 12.9 inch version, besides the size, well, let's go ahead and look at the tech specs just really quick. There's a whole list of them between the two, but I'm just going to go over the actual differences, the main differences, okay? Besides the actual size, the first thing is actually the biggest thing, in my opinion, is the camera. And so with the 9.7 inch version, you're actually going to get a better camera. You're going to get a 12 megapixel camera versus the 8 megapixel. And also, you get better aperture. And you also get better video recording, because the 9.7 inch can actually do 4K, whereas the 12.9 inch can only do 1080p. And then finally, the front-facing camera has been upgraded as well, from a 1.2 megapixel to a 5 megapixel. So those are definitely some of the improvements that the 9.7 inch iPad Pro has over the 12.9 inch. And if you're wondering what the advantage of having a 12.9 inch Pro is, well, first and foremost, the 12.9 inch, it actually has a higher resolution than a 9.7 inch. And also another thing that they don't mention here, at least in these tech specs, but you could get the tech specs from other sites like GSM Arena. The original iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch, actually has 4 gigs of RAM, and the newer 9.7 inch has half of that. It has 2 gigs of RAM. But everything else is pretty much the same. They both use the same A9X processor. So basically, what you're getting here is the iPad Pro 12.9 inch specs minus the RAM and the higher resolution. But you get a better camera both back and front. And also pricing wise, the iPad 9.7 inch Pro starts at $599 for the 32 gig, and for the 12.9 inch it actually starts at $799 for the 32 gigs. And you could go all the way up to past $1,000 with cellular and so forth. I made a mistake on that one. It's the Wi-Fi. It starts at 128 gigs. Yeah, so it's gonna be about $1,000. The only thing missing is with the 12.9 inch, they don't give you a 32 gig Wi-Fi cellular version. So, but yeah, so that's basically the main difference. And I think this is probably the one that is going to appeal to a lot of people. This is probably the one that Apple wanted to release at the beginning, but I think they wanted to test out this bigger size first before they decided whether or not to release this smaller version, or not whether they wouldn't, but when they would actually release it. Because if this one was really, really successful, my thinking is they would have waited a little longer and made some more sales out of this before releasing the 9.7 inch version. Now, I don't have any confirmation on that, but I don't think the sales of this one are going to be as good as the 9.7 inch, because this one was just released a few months ago. So if you're one of those who bought the 12.9 inch, you probably can't return it now. So, but you're still going to get a great tablet nonetheless. Now, of course, with every single Apple product, and specifically with the iPad Pros, you're going to have to consider some of the accessories that come with it. The first being is, since these are considered the Pro models, they're more for power users, creatives, and so forth. You're probably definitely going to have to buy a Apple Pencil. I'm just showing you the standard prices here for each one. But the Apple Pencil, it's $99. So let's go back here. So say for example you bought the 9.7 inch, so that's $600. Plus the Apple Pencil, that's another $100, so that's $700. And if you decide to get the smart keyboard, that's another $150. So you're looking at about a little over $800 plus tax, and that's just for the base 32 gig models. And as you know that the Apple products, they don't have a micro SD card slot for their tablets or their phones, and so you're pretty much stuck with that storage that you have. Now, I'm going to go back to one thing that I mentioned even on my initial thoughts on the iPad Pro. I don't know why they call it Pro. To me, it's just a marketing term, because this is not a laptop replacement or desktop replacement as they would want you to believe. Because at the end of the day, it is a tablet running a mobile operating system. The mobile operating system makes all the difference in the world, because with that, you're limited to the applications that you can have on it. And unless a lot of these developers wanted to take the time to develop a full version of their programs for the mobile OS, then you're not going to get the full version of it. And so a good example of this is the Microsoft Surface Pro series. Okay, those they actually run the full operating system, and so you do get, it's still a tablet, and you attach it to keyboard just like you with the iPad Pro, but the difference is you have a full operating system, meaning that you can run any of the same software that you have on your full-size laptops and computers. So until Apple does this with their Pro editions, I don't think it will ever be a replacement for your laptop or your desktops. Now, with that being said, early reviews have come in for the iPad Pro 9.7 inch, and all the reviews are pretty much glowing, and they pretty much say all the same thing. This is pretty much the best tablet that you could get, Apple or Android. However, like I was stating earlier, the mobile operating system limits what this is capable of, and it being an actual replacement for your laptop or your desktop. And also, I hate to say it, that keyboard is just atrocious. I hate the foldable keyboards. I've never liked them. I can't see people working on this for the long term, especially with the 12.9 inch one. But for the 9.7 inch version, I really, really think that's the size that Apple should have released at the beginning, because I think that is definitely manageable. And even with the keyboard, you could probably find a lot better use out of this than you would the 12.9 inch. And so those are actually my quick thoughts on the iPad Pro 9.7 inch. Whenever it's fully released in all the stores, I'll go like play around with it physically and I'll make a video on that as well. So if you had any thoughts on this new iPad Pro, or maybe you already have ordered it, or maybe you're one of the lucky few who already has it, please leave your comment and ideas below. And if you are the Android tablet user, leave your ideas below too, because I think I think Android tablets are pretty much going to go away, because tablets are already going away, and except for the Apple tablet. So I would like to hear your comments on those as well. So thanks for watching, and on the next episode, hopefully I'm going to get a hands-on on this actual iPad Pro 9.7 inch. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com. And I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.